The Instagram post that ended my relationship didn't expose an affair. It simply said, "Not all women deserve loyalty, especially the boring ones. Life's too short to settle for stable when you could have exciting." I stared at it for 10 minutes. Then I commented one word: true. My name is Marilyn Leisure. I'm 34 years old, and until that Tuesday, I thought I was building a future with Matthew Collins. Matthew is 31. We'd been together almost 3 years, but kept separate homes. I worked in commercial real estate development and had done well for myself. I owned my house outright and 2 rental properties. 5 years earlier, my parents died in a car accident. They left me their estate, and I invested it carefully. Matthew worked as a marketing consultant. He earned decent money, but he was constantly comparing our life to influencers, expensive vacations, and couples who seemed more exciting online. The warning signs became obvious the week before his post. He planned an $8,000 Bali trip without asking me. "You can afford it," he said when I refused. "That isn't the point. I'm saving for the commercial property deal." He rolled his eyes. "Sometimes you're unbelievably boring." A week later, he turned that insult into an Instagram caption for 3,200 followers. His friends piled on. "Upgrade, man. You deserve someone who matches your energy. Boring women kill relationships." Everyone who knew us knew exactly who he meant. So I wrote, "True." Matthew called almost immediately. I ignored him. Then came the texts. "What does that mean?" "Exactly what it says." "You're right." He kept calling. But I wasn't angry anymore. I was thinking. For 2 years, Matthew had been my emergency contact and healthcare proxy. He was also the primary beneficiary of my $750,000 life insurance policy. My will gave him my house and investment properties if something happened to me. I'd done all of that because I believed we'd eventually marry. But if I was too boring to deserve loyalty, why should Matthew inherit everything my boring life had created? I left work early and drove to my attorney Philip Grant's office. He'd handled my affairs since my parents died. I handed him my phone. He read the post and looked at me. "You want to make changes?" "All of them." For the next few hours, Matthew disappeared from my legal life. My insurance went to family and a charity my parents supported. Matthew was removed from my will. My properties and investments would stay with my family. Then Philip asked, "Emergency contact?" "Lauren Collins, Matthew's older sister." Lauren was practical and dependable. At a family gathering the previous year, she'd even given me her information after Matthew forgot something involving a medical appointment. "Just in case you ever need a backup," she'd said. I never imagined she'd replace him entirely. Philip finished the paperwork. "You telling Matthew?" "No. If he asks, I'll answer." That evening, I had 43 messages waiting. Matthew finally got me on the phone. "Natalie?" "Marilyn?" I corrected automatically. "Seriously, what is your problem?" "No problem. You know that post wasn't about you." "Who was it about?" Silence. "We argued last week because you literally called me boring." "It was a joke." "Interesting joke." He sighed. "Are we really fighting over Instagram?" "We're not fighting. I'm agreeing with you." "Stop saying that. You want me to say you're wrong?" Silence again. 4 days later, we met for coffee. Matthew apologized and claimed he'd only been venting. "I just want us to be more spontaneous," he said. "Meaning Bali? Meaning living." "I live, Matthew. I just don't need strangers online validating it." He promised to delete the post and asked if we could move forward. I said I needed time. What he didn't know was that Philip had already confirmed the changes. Matthew was officially gone from everything. That evening, Lauren called. "I got paperwork saying I'm your emergency contact." "Is that okay?" "Of course, but does Matthew know?" "Not yet." I explained what happened. Lauren sighed. "I love my brother, Marilyn, but he's been taking you for granted." Hearing that from his own sister hurt more than I expected. Then, Tuesday afternoon, my phone exploded. Matthew. Lauren. Matthew's mother. I ignored everything until my meeting ended. Matthew's message was first. What the hell, Marilyn? You changed your will without telling me. Lauren's came next. Matthew found out about the insurance. He's losing it. I called her. What happened? He contacted your insurance company because he's moving and wanted to update his address. I froze. He called my insurance company? They told him he's no longer your beneficiary. Matthew hadn't even considered asking whether anything had changed. He simply assumed his place in my financial life was permanent. I called him. You removed me from your life insurance? He shouted. Why were you calling my insurance company? I'm moving. I was updating my address. You're not the policyholder. I'm your beneficiary. Were. Silence. When did you do this? The day you posted that I don't deserve loyalty. Oh my God, Marilyn. It was one caption. And you're upset because the boring woman you mocked isn't leaving you $750,000 anymore? You changed your will too, didn't you? That's private. We were supposed to get married. That sentence bothered me. Not times I wanted to marry you. Not times I wanted a life with you. We were supposed to get married. Like something he'd expected had been taken away. You're punishing me, he said. No, I'm protecting myself. He started crying. You wanted excitement, Matthew. My voice stayed calm. So, I'm removing the boring stability from your future. I hung up. I thought that was the worst thing he'd do. I was wrong. Because 1 week later, Matthew made a move that proved removing him from my assets hadn't been cruel. It had been the smartest decision I'd made in years. A week after I removed Matthew from my legal documents, he showed up at my house at 9 at night. His eyes were red. We need to talk. It's late. I don't care, Marilyn. I let him inside. He immediately started pacing. I can't believe you erased me from your life without telling me. I didn't erase you. I changed my legal documents. I'm your boyfriend. And those documents belong to me. He stopped. Our relationship didn't change. Yes, it did. You publicly said boring women don't deserve loyalty. For the millionth time, that wasn't about you. Then who was it about? Again, no answer. Instead, he said, I talked to my mom. She thinks what you're doing is controlling. I almost laughed. Controlling what? My financial security. That phrase caught my attention. Your financial security? His face changed. I didn't mean it like that. Matthew, I'm not taking anything you own. I'm simply not promising you my house, investments, or life insurance anymore. You're punishing me. I'm protecting myself. His anger disappeared suddenly. He sat on my couch and started crying. I love you. I don't care about your money. Then these changes shouldn't matter this much. They matter because they mean you don't trust me. You gave me a reason not to. He left shortly afterward. Then his mother texted me. She called my decision vindictive and said if I truly loved Matthew, I would restore his rightful place in my life. Rightful. That word stayed with me. The next day, Lauren called. Matthew keeps asking me to convince you to put him back on everything. My answer is no. I figured. She sighed. He's really spiraling. This stopped being about Instagram the moment he became more upset about losing my assets than losing my trust. Lauren went quiet. I think you're right. Then Matthew changed tactics. Friday, he texted. I've been thinking. You were right. I haven't appreciated you. I want to change. Can we start over? I didn't answer. Saturday morning, he appeared with coffee and bagels from my favorite place, Peace Offering. I reluctantly let him inside. Halfway through breakfast, he put down his coffee. I deleted Instagram. What? The entire account. He looked embarrassed. You were right. I was comparing our relationship to everyone else's highlight reels. It made me feel like what we had wasn't enough. For once, he sounded sincere. I don't want to lose you because I was stupid, he said. We talked for nearly 2 hours. About marriage, money, communication, expectations. For the first time in weeks, I wondered if we might actually survive this. Then Monday morning, Philip called. "Marilyn, we have a problem." My stomach tightened. "What happened?" "Matthew hired a lawyer." I sat upright. "What?" "They sent us a letter claiming he may have rights to your property based on the nature of your relationship." "That's ridiculous. We're not married." "I know. And this state doesn't recognize the common law argument they're trying to make." Philip paused. "They're demanding you restore Matthew as a beneficiary, or they'll pursue legal action." I couldn't speak. "When was the letter sent?" "Friday." "Friday." Before Matthew arrived Saturday morning with breakfast. Before he told me he'd changed. Before those 2 hours of apologies. He had already hired a lawyer. The realization made me feel physically sick. His apology hadn't been reconciliation. It had been strategy. "Respond to them," I said. "Make it clear he has no claim. If this continues, document everything." "I will." I immediately called Matthew. He answered warmly. "Hey, I was just thinking about you." "You hired a lawyer." Silence. "Marilyn, you hired a lawyer while telling me you wanted to fix our relationship." "I was protecting myself." "From what?" "You cut me out of everything. My property was never yours. My lawyer said—" "Your lawyer knows we aren't married. Can you just listen?" "No." My voice surprised even me with how calm it sounded. "You came into my house with breakfast and told me you loved me, while a legal demand was already on its way to my attorney." "It wasn't like that." "It was exactly like that. Marilyn, please." "We're done." He went silent. "Don't contact me again. Don't come to my house. You can't just throw away 3 years. You tried to force your way into assets that were never yours." I hung up, then blocked him everywhere. Afterward, I called Lauren. "Your brother hired a lawyer to claim rights to my property." "What?" "He did it before coming over to apologize." Lauren sounded horrified. "Marilyn, I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. He told me you two were working things out. He lied to both of us. That night, I sat alone in the house Matthew had apparently expected to someday become his. For days, I'd wondered whether removing him from everything had been an emotional overreaction. Now I had my answer. The Instagram post hadn't destroyed our relationship. It had warned me just early enough to protect myself. And Matthew was about to discover that a legal threat only works when you actually have a legal claim. 3 weeks later, Matthew's legal threat was dead. Philip's response made it clear he had no claim to my property. And once Matthew realized how expensive it would be to keep fighting a case he couldn't win, his lawyer dropped the matter. Matthew tried reaching me through mutual friends. I gave everyone the same answer. "We're done. Please don't pass messages between us." A few people tried the Times he really loves you, Times argument. Then I showed them the legal letter he'd sent while pretending to reconcile with me. That ended those conversations quickly. 2 weeks later, I ran into Lauren at the grocery store. We grabbed coffee. "How are you?" she asked. "Actually, really good." The commercial property deal I'd refused to sacrifice for Bali had finally closed, and early numbers were already better than projected. Lauren smiled. "I'm happy for you." Then I asked the obvious question. "How's Matthew?" Her expression changed. "Not great. His new apartment costs more than he expected. He's working extra hours." She hesitated. "I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I think he assumed things with you would go differently. Meaning, he thought you'd be engaged soon. Eventually, he expected to move into your house." Lauren sighed. "I think that Instagram post was supposed to push you. Make you jealous or afraid of losing him so you'd prove your commitment. By proposing?" "Something like that." I almost laughed. "He tried to manipulate me into marriage by publicly calling me boring? I told you my brother can be his own worst enemy." Suddenly, the whole thing made sense. The Bali argument, the post, his panic when the insurance disappeared, his mother calling his position in my life rightful. Then the lawyer. Matthew hadn't expected me to walk away. He expected me to chase him. Instead, I protected myself. As we finished coffee, Lauren said quietly, "For what it's worth, thank you for trusting me as your emergency contact. I chose you because I know you'll take it seriously. I will." A week later, an email from Matthew appeared. Subject: I'm sorry. I stared at it for a few seconds, then archived it unopened. There was nothing left I needed him to explain. A few days later, Philip called. "You remember the friend Matthew claimed inspired that Instagram post?" "Yeah, she just got engaged." I laughed. "To whom?" "Her boring, stable boyfriend of 4 years." Apparently, several people from Matthew's friend group were settling down with the same dependable partners they'd once joked about online. Matthew was now the one watching from the outside. As for me, life became quieter, and I discovered I liked quiet. The commercial property performed better than projected. I started working with a financial planner and restructured my estate properly: investments, trusts, beneficiaries, everything. I traveled occasionally, visited family, spent a long weekend with my brother. Nothing wild, nothing designed to impress strangers online. Just a life I actually enjoyed. Lauren remained my emergency contact. Matthew eventually created another social media account filled with posts about knowing your worth, waiting for the right person, and never settling. I stopped checking because eventually I understood something. Matthew had called me boring because I planned ahead, because I saved, because I invested instead of performing wealth for strangers. But those supposedly boring choices created the exact stability he expected to benefit from. That Instagram post didn't ruin my future, it saved it. Had we married first, Matthew might have gained real legal rights to things I'd spent years building. Instead, he revealed himself before that happened. So if someone publicly tells you that you don't deserve loyalty, pay attention. Don't waste your life proving you're exciting enough for them. Matthew wanted excitement. Now he gets to build that life without my house, my investments, my insurance, or my financial security cushioning the landing. And me? I'm still boring, still stable, still financially secure. Only now, there's no drama attached. Turns out that feels pretty exciting.